Hi and welcome back. Today I'd like to share this journal with you. I'm calling it my Alchemy journal, but it's sort of a tribute to Deborah Harkness's All Souls Trilogy. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a wonderful mix of fantasy writing along with historical references, and it really appealed to me. And in doing some research after reading the books to look up some of the historical characters that she named, and also to look into the Ashmole books on alchemy, I decided to make a journal. The sizes and dimensions of this were decided upon because I was following along with a bookmaker, DAS Bookbinding, on YouTube to create the journal, so I tried to keep as close to his measurements as possible so that I would get things like the spine and the hinge joint here and all correct. It's covered in leather. I'm still practicing with my heat embossing. I didn't want the heat embossing to be too bright or too complete because I wanted this to appear to be old. There's some Tim Holtz corners, and this is a little piece of metal from Butterby scraps, and I just put metal paint on them to make them all the same color. The end papers are some of my own marble paper, and I used a technique that Nick the Booksmith does by printing things onto sticker paper and then putting them in, because I wasn't sure when I was first designing the book where I wanted certain items of writing to go, and I've since added those. If you have seen the recent Discovery of Witches by the Sundance Film Festival Channel, this is somebody's take on the Book of Life that's the center of the whole alchemy journey that they go on. And I found on the fan page somebody had kind of recreated that. In this book I have used pages from these three designers. Journal Centric had two kits of illuminated type pages. Medieval Mirage has a lot of things that look like old illuminated scripts. And then the other one that I used is a new one to me. It's called Skyfire Graphics. And they had a whole series, hundreds of pages, that you could print out that were meant to make your own personal grimoire or any other type of book in this genre. And they there's so many images I can't show you, but this is what they look like on just regular parchment paper. I wanted to keep everything in the same color wave, so I printed mine on papers from the Graphics Fairy that are old looking. The Bodleian Library has a website. You can look up Ashmole on there and you will find out things about the various texts. This was another image from the fan site for Deborah Harkness, and it's supposed to be a kind of a representation of one of the books in the missing Ashmole text that they're all searching for. This is a part of the Medieval Mirage pages, and one of the things about the book in the television series, as well as what she writes about, is that the book that they're looking at is a palimpsest, which is basically a book where the pages had been scraped, the vellum had been scraped, and a new writing had been put on top of an older book, but you still see ghost images of the page of the writing coming through. So I used some of those pages that kind of gave that feel to put some of my quotes on. Others I am in the process of using white gesso so that I can just write on them. These are some of the images that you get off of the Bodleian site. These are the journal-centric illuminated pages. And then this is what the Skyfire graphics look like on paper when nothing's been done to them. I've already started on some of these, coloring them in, and we'll get to that in a minute. So it is a writing journal, so there's lots and lots of blank pages with just the decorations from the illuminated page kit, and then whatever I decorated with the things I got offline about alchemy. And I love this thing where she talked about that she took a course on magic and astrology and alchemy, and how that just inspired her. She went on to write the novels. She's actually a history professor, Deborah Harkness. So here is one of the Skyfire graphics, and basically, you know, it looks like this. And then you can go back through with, I used markers, but you could use watercolors or whatever. When you color them in, you can make them blend with whatever's on your pages or your color scheme. There was a lot of books about the various beasts that they either thought they knew about or envisioned. Here's another one of the Skyfire graphics that I colored in. More quote that I put on here. Another quote. Here's another one that I colored in. So you can see that you can take something that's fairly plain and really with very little time actually, and a little patience, you can color it in and make it very, very interesting. This is sort of a conglomeration that I took some illuminated page parts and a dragon and made my own illuminated page. I am nowhere near as good at it as they are at Journal Centric. Another one of the Skyfire that I colored in. And then this is one of the pages that I gessoed so that I could write on it. And here's that page that you'd seen colored in before, and it's waiting to be colored in. But I think even not colored in, some of these are just exquisite all by themselves. It's harder to turn pages upside down than I thought. Another one of the ones that I kind of added dragons and kind of made my own. Still need to gesso this one so I can write on it. This one I have just started coloring. I've only gotten the dragon done. I don't have the little other pieces of this one done. But I could have done a whole book that was just the Skyfire graphics and then pasted in some of the things I got at the Bodleian Library site, but I don't know, I just kind of like the mixture of all the different items from all the different sources. So here's one that I've colored in, and then there's, let's see here, and there's how it looks plain. So you can see, you know, both ways look good. I just kind of have fun doing the coloring in. More of those beasts. These plain pages are all some of the paper ephemera that you can use from the graphics fairy. Just looks like a bunch of old paper, and you stack it up and it looks like a bunch of stacks of old paper. But it's a fun subject to read about, because alchemy is, you know, yes, they were trying to turn lead to gold. That wasn't the only thing about it. And it's sort of the precursor of modern chemistry and modern pharmacology. So I enjoyed, you know, those references. Like I said, a lot of room to write because that's what I do. I gather up quotes or thoughts and jot them down. This is going to be a fun one to color in. And that's the end. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that. I will put the links for all those things that I talked about below the video for journal-centric, medieval mirage, skyfire graphics. I'll also put in about the booklet creator where you can take the skyfire graphics and instead of having them print in the portrait thing one to a side, which means you would have to do some sort of binding, you know, with single sheets of paper, you can take the booklet creator and tell it to put 4 to a page, and that's what it does. And so I'll put that link, and then DAS bookbinding if you're getting real adventurous and you want to try some proper leather bookbinding. He has wonderful tutorials and takes you absolutely step by step through everything. So stay healthy, stay well, see you soon.